Hello Moglets, just a quick video here to try and figure out what's going on with Keqing's ult. I know that's kind of a niche topic, but regardless, someone brought it to me in my Discord saying, why are Keqing's numbers always the same? Does she not critical with her ult? I'm not usually paying attention to numbers so much because we're always fighting different enemies, and of course they have different stats and everything, and there's just going to be different numbers a lot of the time. With all the different reactions and everything going on, I just didn't pay too much attention to it. Just kind of figured at first that, you know, her ult counts as one attack, so if the first hit doesn't critical, none of them will critical. And so, you know, the numbers are, and that's just kind of how I figured. But when all the numbers are always the same for every ult, that's when it gets a little suspect. So I was fighting the Animo Q guy for 20 minutes, just spamming her ult over and over, and indeed what it looks like are the same numbers every time. 750. Just a bunch of 750s. There are a few other extra numbers thrown in there, but I believe those are just swirls, because this particular Q is always infused with Animo. Later on, when I'm done recording this, I'm going to slow down the footage so we can see each individual proc, just try and see exactly what's going on. I do have a theory, but again, we'll have to get to editing for that. But I think what might be happening is that her critical damage is separated from her normal damage, because I did see a couple of other extra numbers in there besides the high swirl numbers. I saw some 758s or something like that, I believe. I could be mistaken, but the funny thing with my Keqing here is that she has 102.9% crit damage. So if the crit damage numbers are coming up separately, that would be about right. When we go into her talents and look at her ult, there are 8 different slashes that happen. So we are going to count the numbers, and if there are more than 8, then it seems like the crit damage for some reason is separated from the regular damage, and it comes up as a different number. Alright, so here we are in the editing program. This is actually the first time I'm doing this. It's kind of weird, honestly, and I hope, yeah. Here's where I was just talking a second ago. I actually do believe I say I do an ult somewhere around here. Honestly, you just have to look for when she has a full ult. Yeah, here we go. Oh, this is the one I tried with Barbara, actually, to see if the attack boost procs, and indeed it does. So we're gonna go by this frame by frame here. So you can see the swirl damage there is 1579. And then there's a 758, which I think is one of the critical numbers. The 873 there is because of Barbara's attack boost. So then we have another 873, another 873. And then here we have a 758 back there. That might be the critical damage, or is that just another swirl? 873, a 430 in there. Interesting. What? 758. 873. The ending attack unfortunately didn't land. We're gonna go look at a couple others. It's a bit annoying because of all the swirls, but I mean, that should count as an attack, right? One of her 8 slashes. So let's take a look at this one. Again, we start with a 2752 and a 758 there. And then here we have like the base 750 that we're always seeing. 750, 750, and then another 758 pops up. 750. So apparently this 2752 is the skill damage, so when it actually happens. And then this first 750 is the first of the 8 slashes. So let's just count the 750s to start. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That was only 7, but there were a bunch of other numbers in there. And again, that little 758 appearing next to the 2752. And also this 5905 is always the same, but again, it sometimes comes with that little 758, and I think that might be the crit damage. It's so weird. Let's go back to the game and just find like a non-element enemy we can try this on. Just some hilichurls would be fine, so that we can take a big portion of that guesswork out, like what is swirls, what is not, does it actually proc alongside normal attacks? Or is it extra? All right, here we go. Here are some hilichurls, and we have our ult ready. We are recording. We're just gonna go ahead and do it. The numbers are a little bit different here, of course, because these are different enemies. However, since we're not actually comparing like anything, it's fine. All right, that's honestly enough. I just want to see how many procs. And there shouldn't be any elemental reactions going on there. Let's take a look at that last one. I think there was like a better sort of sample there. All right, here we go. The right side one might take a bit more damage just because he's inflicted with Electro right now, and Lion's Roar is gonna proc, but again, that doesn't matter. Well, interestingly enough, they are all inflicted by the time she does the first attack. Do they get inflicted just from her like aura? I didn't know that. Learn something new every day, I guess. Does she actually hit them already at this point? Well, let's take a look here. So it starts with the 2822. I believe that is the skill damage, the first number. Now we're looking for the 8 slashes, 769. So it looks like our theory about the crit damage just proccing separately was off. Maybe those were swirls, because there are no extra numbers here. Let's take a look at this first one we did. But here we see a 379. There we saw a couple of 379s over there with Did that one. Well, this is a cool little scene here. The slime explodes. 379 starting on both of them, actually. A 769, 769, 769, 769. Another tiny 379 over there. Usually the non-crits are smaller. So I'm kind of led to believe the 700s are criticals. So yeah, in that case, 8 numbers did indeed pop up. And I think here's where a lot of my and my Discord members' confusion came from. Maybe it's just because the non-criticals are so tiny, they really just could get hidden by the bigger numbers. And then over here, there's like 1 or 2 non-criticals, but they're like super hard to see. Like if you were playing a real game, you know, you'd be very hard pressed to see where they are. Like there's a 379, there's a 379 amongst all that light. But okay, so I guess we can conclude with yes, it does critical. But just to make sure, if we're assuming the 769s are the actual crits, that would be 33.6% of her attack, which is 2146. I'm honestly a bit at a loss here because 33.6% of her attack is like 721. And then if we take into consideration her Lion Roar procs, that would be like 865, it should be. And of course, Hilichurls and everything have defense, but we're over the number before we even get into crit damage. So I don't know. It's really hard to say because I don't know Hilichurls defense. Let me see if I can just Google it. No, I couldn't really find anything, and I guess it would be electro resistance anyway. So I don't know. There are the small numbers. I guess for now we're just gonna have to assume those are the non-criticals. There are the small numbers, and it adds up to 8 hits on a normal enemy that's not being like all swirled and everything. So yeah, this was kind of a dumb video. Ended up being a lot longer than I anticipated it would be anyway. So apologies. I don't know what kind of weird ass editing I'm gonna have to do now to make this video work, but I don't know, we'll see how it turns out, I guess. If you have more information regarding this, that would be super helpful. Even though the multiplier is super low for those slashes, it still seems too weak for it to also be a critical, in my opinion. Due to me having a new set and everything, it would have to be electro damage we're comparing, right? Lightning, Stiletto, but then Lion's Roar wouldn't have procced yet. But yeah, that does 858. Now 1741, so that must have been a critical. Yeah, I guess that seems about right. This has about twice as much damage, and when it criticals, it does have about twice as much damage. Lion's Roar isn't proccing, but it's close enough. But I guess it's close. Man, this is so stupid. I did all this just to say big numbers mean crit. But okay, they're hard to see, and I'm mainly doing this for my Discord members. So there you go. Apparently she does crit and not crit, but the non-crits are just super hard to see, and even though those slashes have low numbers, they are actually crits. I guess? Apparently? Bye, man, dumb.